yeah, we'll start as soon as we get connected. We'll do the media browser stuff at the beginning of the show, or the first half or whatever.
Okay, Luke's just installing Skype.
All right, excellent.
Hi, Scott. How you doing?
Hey.
Right, just start. At least Skype's not too bad to install nowadays.
Yeah. Just there's still so many UI things I need. So, like I say, you have to click the plus button to do instant message to add the chat window, but then to get rid of it, you click on the plus symbol again, and then instant message, and it goes. you have to add it to take it away. It's
Skype UI is always baffling. It's a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah, I quite like the new desktop client. I think that looks quite good.
Yeah, it is a little better.
Right, just getting Luke's Skype ID.
Okay. Well, we've already got someone in the chat room. Richard's in there, so hello, Richard. Should have sent the link out, actually.
Right, just IM'd you his Skype thing.
Excellent, right. Which has not showed up on this. The message has gone to the one machine that isn't supposed to be doing it has not got the message. Very clever. Right, I'm gonna get. I have to type it. That's crazy. Okay, you can't refresh it, can you?
No, it's supposed to go. It's supposed to go to the machine you're active on now.
Yeah, it went to the one I'm not active on, so I'll have to type it manually. Okay. Yeah, it just went across to the machine that's sat in the corner of the room idle. Right, I'll see if I add him to the corner. Right, it's just sent. I've just sent a request so I can add him to the group call.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for some reason you have to be a contact to be a group call. For some reason.
I know that's not Ian typing that fast.
No. It's just waiting for the request to come through and I can add him to.
I've just told him that he'll need to accept you as a contact.
Okay, there we go. I should be able to add him now.
Hey, Ian.
Hi, Luke. All right.
Good. How are you?
Good to speak to you. And
hey, guys.
And we've got Jason here as well and Scott.
Hi, Luke.
Hey guys.
Right, well, we'll jump straight in. So let's start off with the introduction. So, Jason, we've got guests with us tonight.
We certainly have.
So, first of all, let's start with Scott Lovegrove. So, Scott, we spoke to you before, so just tell us who you are and who else we've got with us tonight.
So yes, I'm Scott Lovegrove. I'm part of the development team for Media Browser. With us tonight, we've also got one of the core developers for the server, which is Luke. So say hello, Luke.
Hey guys.
There we go. Yeah, we're two of the developers that have been working on the updated Media Browser from its basically core conception, really. So yeah, that's us.
Well, I mean, first of all, we've been talking about lots of different sort of media platforms over the last few years, really, as we've moved away from Media Center. So, just as a reminder, then, maybe start with you, Luke. Just tell us what is Media Browser and Media Browser Server.
Media Browser Server is a personal home media server that aims to make it very easy to enjoy your movies, TV, and music on just about any device that you have. So,
I mean, I've seen. So it's been around for a couple of years now, hasn't it? When did the project start?
The project actually started several years ago, long before I joined, and so I think we're going back to like 2009. So it's been around for a while. It was called Video Browser initially. And then when they added music, they changed the name to Media Browser. And then they went to version 2, and 2.6 was the final version of 2. And that was, 2.5 years ago now. And so version 3, which is what everybody knows now, has really been in existence for, it's been released to the public for about 1.5 years. And then we started working on it about 2 years ago.
Right. So the idea of Media Browser, where do you install this? On a central server?
On a central server or on a device that can run the server software. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the same device that holds the media.
It also doesn't have to be a different device from the one you're wanting to watch the media on.
That's correct. Yeah. So some users will use it as a central server to power multiple devices, and others will just have your traditional media center in the living room without a separate server, and they'll put it all in one box.
Right. So you could take your media center system and install this on the same device, same box.
That's correct. Yeah, if you want to.
So okay. So once you've installed the server on there and you've got all your content on there, what features do you then get? What can you do with it?
Well, one of the first things that you notice is we have a pretty strong management system. So before you even get to the aspect of, consuming and watching, we have great ways to manage the content, which I think is important to a lot of users, especially ones who have really large libraries. So you can do things like control how they're organized. You can download related content. You can, set up streaming with various internet channels that we have. So that's one of the first things that you notice. And then immediately you get right into the built-in web interface, which supports the entire feature set. You can do things like watch your movies, watch your TV. You can create playlists that you can play on other devices. You can control your other devices, so you can send a playlist over to your TV or any of the other apps, really. It doesn't necessarily have to be on a TV. You can edit the metadata for your library. We have a lot of users who like to really get hands-on with that. So we give them the ability to do that. So there's quite a bit that you can do right out of the box.
Yeah, I think the metadata is really important. So this is content, your own content, and then it sort of then will index it and bring back sort of artwork and things like that?
It doesn't even need to be our own content. If you, for example, if you were an Xbox Media Center, XBMC, Kodi, whichever they're called, if you've got all your data from there, we can use that as well. So any info files or images from there, we can use that as well. So it's not just data that's populated by us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and actually, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
One thing I want to say, just to jump on Scott's point, is that one of the key goals that I've had since day one of version 3 was I want us to be able to work out of the box with other software applications. And so, so we're moving towards standardized metadata formats. It's hard to really call info a standard, but you know, XBMC has a very large user base. So we're moving towards the direction of adopting conventions that have already been in place for a long time, and not introducing any new proprietary ones.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah. So you can install a server, let it know where the folders are, where your data is, and then it will then pull it all together with the metadata that's there, or new data if needed.
That's correct. So it'll first, first looks at the metadata that's already there, and then and that takes precedence over any kind of internet downloading. So if you have metadata in place already, and if you have images in place already, those are the ones that are going to be used. And then the initial scan will go and fill in what's missing, and it can either fill them right into your media folders if you like to store your metadata there, or it can download it to a separate external folder if you want to keep your media folders clean.
Right. And so you've got all this, you've got all your metadata on there. And you said there's a number of different ways you can watch it. So one of them is a web interface.
Yeah, that's correct. And I put, or I should say, we have put a lot of effort into that app. Just knowing the direction of the industry, and really not just the media industry, but the whole technology industry. So we've put a lot of effort into the web interface. It runs on any device, really. It's not designed for a desktop. In fact, I tell the team all the time, it's mobile first, and then it scales up to larger screens, and not really the other way around. So
and those larger screens can include any that are connected to an Xbox One.
Yeah.
For example.
Right. So that means that you could use the IE on the Xbox One to access the web content from Media Browser.
Yes,
that's correct, and we actually have some users who have posted fan videos of that. Nowadays, now that our DLNA functions have improved, you're not really seeing as much of the web browser usage on Xbox One anymore. But we do have people that have done that. Yeah.
Right. That's really good, being able to scale right, from a small device right up to the Xbox One, and it's a good way of making it accessible from a number of devices.
Yeah, and I do, to be honest, I sort of on my wish list is I would like to at some point build a second web interface designed specifically for a TV form factor. Because trying to go to 4 form factors with one app is a little bit difficult because you've got mobile, tablet, desktop, and TV. I think 3 form factors is a good. It's a good number. You have to make a lot of compromises when you're trying to hit so many different use cases. I do really like the idea of a web app designed for TV usage that could run on anything. Something I hope to at some point take on.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, because quite a lot of nearly all new TVs have got some kind of browser built into them anyway, so that there's a basic level of getting integration.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you've also got a range of clients, and I know, Scott, that's one of the things you've been working on.
Yeah, so I'm the developer for the Windows Phone client, as I say, which I've been working on as the server's been built. So right from the very beginning, as soon as we had the first semblance of any kind of API, I was there starting on the Windows Phone app. So it's kind of weird for a system to start with Windows Phone.
Something that Jason's experienced quite often.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, we work started on Windows Phone clients, and then not long after that, the work started on the Android client as well.
Yeah, and the Windows client that gives you, or the Windows Phone client gives you sort of the same kind of feature, so you can watch your media, you can stream video or whatever. Yeah,
you can listen to your music, you can control other controllable clients, so like the media browser, the media center client that we've got, Media Browser Classic. You can control that as well. So if you're watching a film or something you want to pause, you can do that straight from the Windows Phone app.
Yeah, that's quite good actually. So it's kind of like combined functionality of remote control and an app in its own right, a player.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, as I say, that there are other clients that we've got as well. So we've got Windows 8, we've got iPhone, iPad. The Android app's available on the Amazon store. We did think about putting it on the Nokia store. Lucky we didn't.
Yeah, I didn't spend too much time on that one.
No, not at all.
Now, one of the reasons why I got in touch, because you said there was something new, and which is the sort of the connected stuff, Connect stuff. But
yes,
I'll come back to that in a moment. But I do have a couple of questions from Rich that's in the chat room listening. So he said, is there any support for offline viewing from the server? aka selecting a file or a TV show to watch later, maybe when you're on a plane and you're offline.
That's something that we are looking at actively, but we don't have any further details that we can sort of give at the moment. But it is something that we know users want, and it's something that we are sort of driving towards.
Okay. And another question we've had is, what about any DVR functionality? That's always a tricky one to implement.
Yeah, I can take this one.
Yep.
So we do actually have a live TV framework where we have a server core that supports different live TV services. And so the idea is you go into the plugin catalog, and then you install one of the live TV services, and then you can then access all of the DVR functions for that live TV service. For example, we currently have two, NextPVR and Server WMC, and we have a third one in development, which is Argus TV. And in fact,
I think that one's in beta, isn't it?
It is in beta, yeah.
Because it's available in the plugin category. Catalog, sorry.
It is, yeah. And we actually have a fourth one as of a couple of days ago to support Media Portal. We can actually talk about Media Portal in a little while, because we've been very active with some of their developers too, in terms of what pieces of our app can work with theirs. But right now we've got one developer working on integrating Media Portal Live TV. So the idea is the Live TV service, the one that you pick, that you install, that supplies the data, and then you can then go browse that data within any of the media browser apps that support Live TV. So,
for example, the Windows Phone app.
Windows Phone, Android, the web interface.
From within the Windows Phone app, there.
Yeah.
Phone through Media Browser. You can also set up series link or just record individual programs, as well as view the actual TV guide from within the Media Browser app. So like full DVR functionality, really.
Yeah, and for users who use Windows Media Center, the Server WMC service, that plugin actually works with Windows Media Center. So you can basically import the entire Windows Media Center guide into the server, as well as your saved recordings, and then access and as well as control from media browser apps.
Right. So that's quite a good way of doing it. So rather than trying to implement tuner drivers and all that kind of thing, you can sort of piggyback onto some of the work that's been done on that front, and sort of bring the service together and with the UI and the connected devices.
Right. It's a very modular system. So for instance, no matter which live TV service you install, there are some basic functions that you're going to want to do. You're going to want to get the guide. You're going to want to get the list of recordings. You're going to want to schedule one, etc. And so the live TV services fulfill those requirements, and the server just essentially just funnels the commands to that service. So it allows you to pick whichever one you want to use. And these applications are popular in their own right. You know, for instance, there's a lot of NextPVR users out there. There's a lot of Server WMC users out there because those services are also compatible with XBMC. So now we've given them a way to bring them into Media Browser.
Excellent. That seems a really good way of working together and sort of having, meaning that you're not got to rip everything out and start again when you want to use something like Media Browser. You can sort of link it with your existing setup.
Exactly. Yeah.
And also got quite a few people saying hello in the chat room. So you and Duncan, Matthew Smith, and Dave Bryce, I'll say hello to you.
Yeah.
So Media Browser fans are in the chat room. And Richard says it sounds very interesting, although Media Center will finally go away in Windows 10. So how would such a piggyback work? So will this work without Media Center being installed at all? Oh
yeah, definitely. Because first of all, we only have one client. We have a dedicated app for Windows Media Center, and that's Media Browser Classic, and that's only one client. And then as far as the live TV integration, that's a Server WMC plugin. So you would then have the option of picking a different live TV plugin, or it might end up being possible to install Windows Media Center separately on Windows 10. I don't think we really know for sure yet whether that's going to be possible or not. We've actually had some users in the forum who've been able to hack it and figure out how to do it, which obviously won't fly for the general public, but we don't really know yet if there will be a way to install Windows Media Center. It might end up working out. So if it doesn't, we're going to have at least 3 other live TV plugins that are available to choose instead.
And then you've got the Windows 10, or you could use the Windows client, can't you, on there, the Windows app as your front end if Media Center's not there anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, one of the new things, and the reason why I wanted to talk to you is this new Media Browser Connect, because this sounds something really interesting. So just describe to us what Media Browser Connect is.
So in its initial incarnation, it's really designed to solve a specific use case, which is how do I connect to my server when I'm away from home? It's something that, you know, if you go into our support forum, you can see that we help people with this on an almost daily basis. Simply because they just, you know, they don't know how to set it up with their router, which is understandable. It's not something that everybody can do. So this helps them do that. And you're able to sign into your app without having to know your server's IP address, because not everybody is going to remember that. And even if you do remember it, it can change. So what this does is this allows you to link your user that's in the server dashboard to your forum account, your Media Browser forum account, and then you can then use that forum name to sign into your app. The app will then know where your server is. It'll know how to get to it, and then it'll just take you right in. And if you have multiple servers, you'll be able to then pick which one you want to connect to. You'll be able to switch between them on the fly. And eventually we hope to have the ability to show combined presentations, but that's kind of a, you know, down the road type thing.
Right. So that means you don't have to then, like you said, no, do you have to set your routes up or open any ports up for it to work?
So all you have to do to get it to work is you have to create an account on the website, and then you have to go to the server dashboard, and you have to go to your user profile, click into it, and then enter your forum username on the page, click save, and then that's basically it. It will then link the accounts. You'll get an email asking you to confirm that link. You'll have to click a link in the email. And once you do that, you can then sign in to your apps with those credentials. And I do want to bring up one thing that is still required. So you're still going to have to make sure that the router ports are open. We do have a UPnP option built into the server to try and do that automatically, which does often succeed, but sometimes it doesn't. So if you do run into a connection problem, that would most likely be the issue. But it does solve the need of where is my server, what's my server address. You don't have to worry about that anymore. And then if you want to allow other people to access your server, it's much easier to allow them to access it with a username than it is to have to give them an IP address.
Yeah.
And what's quite cool is if you do want to share your server with someone, they don't have to already be a Connect user. So you can just put in an email address. If they're not a Connect user, they'll be sent an email telling them how they can sign up for Connect so that they do then have an account. So
Right.
It's not like you've got to talk through someone creating their account first before you can then do it. You just put in the email address, go, and that's it. The instructions are emailed to them.
Oh, that's really good, because I mean that's the functionality of being able to watch your content from wherever you are is really what's one of the greatest things about this kind of service is you can have everything on your server at home and then access anywhere, but setting up the routing and IP address routing and all that is really complicated. So this really bridges that, and I think that's really what we want to see.
Yeah, and another thing that it does is it makes it very easy to allow a friend or a relative to check out your content. So for instance, this is not limited to people who have a server. So let's say, you call your cousin and you say, hey, I've got these 500 movies, you want to come over and watch one. So what you can do now is go sign into this website, create an account, sign in, and then you'll be able to then access my server. You can browse through the catalog and pick out which movie we're going to watch later, and then that's it. And your friends that you invite don't need to have their own server set up already, so you can log in without actually having your own content.
And it's a nice way of sharing videos, pictures, or whatever you want with your friends and family without being overly complicated.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, does that kind of pose some kind of the potential that people would see that being misused in terms of being able to share movies and stuff that they're purchased, legitimately, but then shouldn't really be almost kind of public broadcasting to friends and family?
That's always a tricky question, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not asking it from
obviously our stance is don't do that. Don't do that. But
talking about home videos.
You may not have, you may have home videos. You've got your wedding pictures that you want to show your friends and family. Get them to sign up to Connect, and they can just sign in and then just browse through all the wedding photos, the wedding videos, and whatnot. So Media Browser doesn't necessarily have to just be, films and TV. It can be your own personal content as well.
Sure, absolutely. I didn't mean that from an accusatory point of view. I just thought,
no.
I just thought I'd give you the opportunity to kind of say that out loud.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, like any of these services, they are obviously, torrenting has a legitimate use. It's just unfortunate that it also has a kind of a negative use. So I just thought it was important to address that.
And I suppose as well, you're not going to want to give this to everybody, so they're all using your bandwidth to consume all your movies. I mean, it's your upload data that they will be using.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah, but it's a nice idea, the family sharing, and it's something that I don't think that many other streaming systems have really done. A good point from Dave Bryce in the chat room, though. He says you can invite friends around and they can watch a DVD you purchased, and it's essentially the same thing.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But so the Connect function then. So do you need updated apps to be able to get this to work from from the Windows Phone app?
Yeah, you will do. I've just implemented the Connect stuff in the Windows Phone app, which is now currently with our private group of testers. So they're putting it through its paces at the moment. I know the Windows 8 app is also being tested, and we have other apps. I think the Roku app's done, isn't it, Luke?
Yeah, the Roku app has already been published to the beta channel. Okay. And as soon as the server beta goes stable, I'll then publish it to the release channel. And Media Browser Theater also is in beta with it too. And one thing I guess I'd point out about those two apps is those apps actually do it a little bit differently, because you're in the TV, you're in the living room most likely with the TV. It actually uses a PIN code mechanism rather than signing in with the username and password, which is pretty neat.
Oh yeah, that's a good way of doing it. So you've got your media browser set, you've got these clients, and you've got this guest feature. I think that sort of inviting people in, it's a great way of sort of replacing, if you've got Media Center, whatever, it's a good replacement for that, to be able, but to give you a lot of extra functionality.
Yeah, I mean, replacement or possibly complement, because we do work well with Media Center. A lot of our users still use Media Center, so really you can look at it either way.
Yeah, and you mentioned sort of the different channels there. So this is in a beta version at the moment, is it? So you've got sort of stable and a sort of development builds, have you?
Yeah, we do. We took some inspiration from Chrome. And I think by now everybody knows that I like to be as public as possible about everything. So we put things right out to the dev channel as soon as they've been checked in, really. And then then they go to beta, and then they go to stable. So it's currently in beta and should hopefully go stable by the end of the week.
Right. So it's up to you then to choose which route you want to go.
Yeah, each user can choose for themselves, and obviously we make the information available about the implications of each channel. For instance, you should really make sure that you're using the channel for the right reasons, which is you're on dev because you want to help contribute and test. If you're trying to just get early access to features, you're most likely going to be disappointed when things break.
And they do.
And they do, yeah, they do. But if you have a secondary system and you want to just install the dev line just to see what's coming, you can certainly do that, as long as you're not depending on it.
It's like everything. If you're happy to put it on what is essentially a production machine, then you take the associated risks that come with doing that. Same as if you've installed Windows 10. It's pre-release software. It could do something funky.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but most of I'm going to say many of us like to live on the cutting edge anyway, or the bleeding edge. Now, the other thing we mentioned about you've got DLNA UPnP support. So I guess that means that you can use devices that you haven't got a client for, but you can then access that content over DLNA.
Yeah. So
go
ahead, Scott.
Sorry, no, you go.
I was just going to say we've got two DLNA functions. So we've got the ability to act as a DLNA server, which allows other devices on the network to see the server and browse the content, just as you said. And then we've got the ability to use what's called DLNA Play To, which is we can see players on the network and allow you to send remote control commands to them from any media browser app. So for instance, if you have a Samsung TV, it'll show up in your Play To list just like any other media browser app, and you can remote control a movie to it just like you would, with one of our apps.
Mm.
So, for example, if I'm having a look at what films I've got on my Windows phone, I can then say play on, and if my TV supports DLNA, the server's already seen that my TV supports that. I'll say play on this device, and it will automatically then just start playing on my TV.
Right, and does that mean then does the Windows Phone need to stay open with that app, or is that handed off?
That's handed off to the server then.
Yeah, that's what we've been talking about, sort of Chromecast and Miracast and all these kind of things, but it's the handoff that's really important that Miracast doesn't do. In that case, that's what you want it to do. And I guess also this means that now that the Xbox One supports DLNA, that's another way of being able to consume the content.
Yeah, we've actually got some great fan videos in the forum from people who have posted videos of Xbox One with Media Browser. it looks like the DLNA player in Xbox One is pretty nice. Gives a better than average interface for it. So yeah, I think that works pretty well.
Yeah, I've seen the video. I think I posted a link to the video because I was impressed with that, and it's a nice functionality. And again, it just makes it makes the Xbox One that a bit more useful, really, and when you can browse your own content as well as stuff from the Xbox Store or whatever. So I think that's a really important step to be able to do that. So, so if someone's interested in sort of hearing this, thinks, well, how do I get started with Media Browser? So where do we start?
To start with the website, mediabrowser.tv. And you'll find all the download links to the server, all the clients, and yeah, there's everything there.
Right.
Everything you'll need. The community links are there, so you can go to the forums. We've got a great bunch of people on the forums.
Yeah,
a lot of them very active.
I was going to say that's one of the things I've been impressed about is the Media Center community. There's a great conversations in there, and I've been in the forums quite a few times. And you can, in fact, some of the names that are on the chat room tonight I recognise from the forums. So there's definitely a good community around the project.
Yeah. And
then I suppose once you've got the server set up, then it's just go and get the clients for your device from whatever store is applicable.
Yep.
You mentioned there's Roku as well, and well, so I think you've got just about every platform covered.
All the major ones, yeah. And if we haven't got a specific client for it, as I say, you can either use DLNA if it's supported or the web browser on the device.
And if we don't have an app on any given device, you can assume that it's in our crosshairs.
Yes.
Yeah. And I suppose the other side of it as well is it's not just media enthusiasts you're also talking about, it's developers, isn't it? You've got a strong developer community working on this stuff.
Yeah, we really do. And to be honest, that's one of the most rewarding parts about this project, for me at least, is seeing the community involvement. And it's not just developers. We're not shy about asking our community for help when we need it. Sometimes, when people are asking for support about various things, you might even see me respond and say, is there someone here with expertise in, XYZ who can take a look at this? And, pretty much every time someone steps up and helps out. And you can see my blog posts, I'm constantly trying to find ways to encourage people to join in, whether it be developers, testers, graphic designers, translators, even recruiters, people to help go and find those people if they don't have any of those skill sets. So
anything, basically we look to spread the word for Media Browser.
Exactly, yeah. And
whichever sort of area that is, whether it is, say, as Luke said, it's graphics, development, design, support, testing, anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think community is one of the things that it's why I originally started doing the talking about Windows Media Center, is because it was a good community, and it looks like you've got the same kind of thing, a good friendly community, and I suppose you get new users coming in that struggle with getting it set up, but they can feel like there's someone there they can ask.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, in terms of the developer community as well, I mean, Media Browser for the most part is pretty much all open source. So if you want to have a look at the Media Browser server, you can go to our GitHub page and literally view the source code of the server.
Yeah, that's really good, that.
Which I know would intrigue a lot of other developers.
Yeah, sure. I mean, even just from curiosity, or if you're looking to come up with some module or whatever for add-in, then it's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for coming on the show, Luke and Scott. It's a great application, and I think it's got it's something that's got a great community, and I think a lot of people are going to be using it. And I think this Connects thing is kind of the final piece that puts it over the top.
It's not the final piece; it's the next step.
There's never a final piece.
There's never a final piece.
There's always something else.
Don't say that. Well, users will be going, but what about offline sync?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. Which is the next step.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And that's what's really good about it, is that you're not looking at a static system that is not changing. You are taking user feedback, and it is continually evolving. And that's really what for an enthusiast, you want something that's got new features coming out regularly. So that's why it's nice to be involved in something like this.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, I really do appreciate you coming on the show, and everybody that's joined in the chat room who said they're more known by their nicknames as Latchmore and where was the other one? Cheese something.
Cheese geezer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But there's a question. Channels. Someone's just asked about channels. What their content channels, are they?
Yeah, so for example, we've got a channel for ITV in the UK, so the ITV content.
Right.
So within that channel, you can go through, browse any of the TV shows that ITV produces. So if you really must watch Downton Abbey, you can.
Again.
Yes.
Of course. Right, okay, great stuff. And Latchmore says, get back to coding, Scott and Luke.
Yes, boss.
Well, great. That was great. I really do appreciate that, and we'll definitely keep in touch. And give it a couple of months, and we'll get you back on to talk about whatever your next new great feature is.
No doubt.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us
very
on.
much. Cheers.
Yeah, great. Well, all I'll do is we'll carry on the show now, but I'll send you the links when this goes out on Thursday, so you'll see it tweeted out on there, and I'll send you the links over.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Luke. Thanks, Scott.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Just do that. Okay, still there, Jason? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, thanks to everybody who joined the chat room. Great to see some new faces in there talking media browser as well. And it's a great system and a lot of functionality in there. And we didn't talk about costing really, because the server's free and the apps are really low price, just a couple of quid. So you can really get starting for very little, and you can use a web version free, and you can really get cracking with there and get a really nice system set up very quickly.
Yeah, and I can see it is a really good system, and definitely works really, really well. Unfortunately, it's not something that I have a use for, so it's difficult for me to really appreciate it. But no, it's definitely one of the good ones.
I think once I've still started since I got this VideoBox server, which does the archiving. I've got a lot more of my content on locally now, where in the past I haven't. So I've got DVDs sat on the shelf, but now I've got this server. It's so easy to rip them that I've started doing that. So about halfway through series 3 of Miami Vice now.
yeah, absolutely.
But having access to that your content, not just in the home, is really what makes a big difference. So it's quite often that you've got 10 minutes to kill, and you can fire up your client and just stream some stuff from your home server. That's a great way of getting the content.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's definitely a great solution. For me, it's the kind of the time and the effort of actually turning those physical discs into digital content. And plus, we don't really own that many DVDs, and what we do own are probably DVDs that now I've purchased that came with an ultraviolet copy. And as I mentioned in the chat room, for me, it's a massive thing that Blinkbox now supports ultraviolet, because all that content that was kind of actually quite difficult for me to access other than through a web browser is now completely open. Yeah,
you mentioned that. So I think that the ultraviolet has sort of been your sort of the route for you, isn't it, for video streaming now?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I kind of always made sure that we redeemed the code so that it was sitting in the ultraviolet locker. But because the Flixtor app, which was one of the main supporters of ultraviolet, for some reason their Windows 8 app is restricted to the States. I've no idea why, but so that Blinkbox support natively now in the application, just completely opens up that library to me. So yeah, like I say, Media Browser is a great solution, and whenever I've looked at your posts and looked at the UI, it's a great solution. It's just not something that I have any use for, unfortunately. Yeah,
I think the nice thing is that it isn't got, like we said, it's got the ongoing development. So you're going into a system that it is, in development and not static. So unlike Media Center, where yes, it works, it's great, it's still got a great UI, but there's nothing new coming. At least with this, you can have some input on new features, and there's an active community around it. So things are changing, and that's really nice to be involved in that.
Yeah, and that is so important. I mean, I guess the closest comparison I've got is the DVB Logic solutions. It didn't always work, and particularly when you were installing the betas that on the cutting edge, it really had its downsides. But the community was always there to support, and people were putting forward suggestions, and the developers were always there chatting in the chat, in the forums, and that is just so important. That, like I say, even if something isn't working perfectly, at least you've got the support to know that they're aware of it and that it will get fixed and it will improve.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there was a couple of things I just wanted to talk about this week before we go. Gary, we should say, is over in Redmond at the moment at the MVP Summit, which I'm very jealous seeing all the.
You sure that's not under NDA?
Yeah, I can say. I think I can say he's there, and I can say I'm very jealous.
Yeah,
That's
Gary is located somewhere on the planet.
Yeah, and he's doing stuff and I would like to be there. I can't.
Yes. Yeah.
But and you had it was your birthday last week, wasn't it? Last week's show on recording. We did say
it was, yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to listen to that show. Yeah, I really missed.
Oh, you probably better don't want to know what we said.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But there was a couple of things I wanted to talk about before we go this week, and the one that took us all by surprise, really, although we had heard hints of it, was the Microsoft Band.
Yes. Yeah, it had been talked about for a little while, hadn't it, in terms of it was going to be more of a fitness device as opposed to a true kind of smartwatch, I guess. But I think they seem to have managed to get quite a bit of functionality into quite a tiny device. I mean, it's got a full color touchscreen, hasn't it? So
yeah. So I mean, like you said, we heard rumours that there would be some sort of device that was cross-platform and more of a health band, but they really did. How times have changed. They produced a cross-platform device. They announced that it went on sale the following day. I mean,
yes.
Whereas a few months ago, Apple announced not a cross-platform device. It's not out till next year. How times have changed.
Yeah, let's see them do that more often.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a nice surprise to see this. So like you said, it's more of a fitness band than a smartwatch, but it has got a color display. It's got a lot of sensors on it, hasn't it? So you can do heart rate, GPS, UV. There's quite a few different stress levels somehow. I always think of the stress machine from the IT crowd when they talk about stress. But if anybody's watched the IT crowd, they'll know about the stress machine. But yeah, but it's got the thing that I like about it. In fact, it's got the notifications and so you can get Twitter notifications, email, or whatever. So it's got the sort of the advantages of a fitness device, but with this sort of some of the features of a smart device, smartwatch as well.
Yeah, one of the things I did notice, and I don't know if this was just the way it was being presented, but all the images I saw was people wearing it with the display kind of on the inside of the wrist as opposed to the outside of the wrist like you'd normally wear a watch.
Yes, I have seen people with it the other way around as well. Although
right.
I tend to have my watch on the inside anyway. It just feels more comfortable to me. So it's actually probably all right for me. The other thing I like about this as well is it's not a replacement for a watch. So as we've said on previous shows, I've got a nice watch that I don't want to get rid of, but this isn't a watch. It's just the device that you have with you all the time, isn't it? And you put the watch on as you would do your watch.
Yes. I guess looking at it again, the screen it's quite flat. I'm surprised it's not like a slightly curved screen, or at least the back of the screen display isn't curved. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, as you say, I don't necessarily want something to replace a watch, but it's, something that offers a bit of extra functionality. I mean, I know one of the nice things, if it's integrated with, if you use it in conjunction with a Windows phone, is the Cortana integration, and it can show you notifications and alarms and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's certainly a very interesting device, as compared to something like a standard Fitbit, which has just got lights that light up.
Yeah. It's the notification side that I like. I like to see it, and the fact that Microsoft have done what none of the other providers, certainly if you've got Android or iOS watch, is it's cross-platform.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's certainly the new Microsoft, isn't it?
But that straight away gives it a much wider market.
Yeah, I think one of the limitations I saw was that I think it's only got 24 hours of battery life, which again for me is concerning with something that's supposed to be a sleep monitor as well. You know, your most convenient time to charge that's going to be overnight. One of the things I like about the Fitbit is it's about 5 to 7 days, and I tend to, you know, just leave it on charge the days I have a shower, and that, you know, 20 minutes is enough to keep it boosted and keep it going. So, but no, I think it is great that it is cross platform, because it's not. I think in this day and age, I think it's really important not to get tied into one ecosystem, because you never know, one, when it's going to disappear, or two, it's going to go down a path that you're not particularly keen on, and being able to just switch over is really important.
Yeah, and that's what I was really impressed. So I have, I think, on what was it, $199 as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, certainly not cheap, is it?
No. Only available in the US as well at the moment.
Yeah, maybe Gary can bring you one home.
Well, I've got one on the way. Thanks to a friend on Twitter, Richard on Twitter. I've got one going via his house on the way to the UK. So it's just completing its US part of the journey today, and be heading over the pond probably tomorrow. So I'm not quite sure when I'll get it, but it's on its way. So it's just got the right blend of features, and I think for me, and I think I've seen a lot of people on Twitter also saying, "Oh, it's a shame it's not available in the UK," but I imagine it will come out at some point. Although the Zune never did, so we'll see.
Yeah, I guess my let me just type into the chat room. The only thing I am concerned for you, Ian, is the screen's a bit small.
Yes, but it complements the 1520 perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to see you squinting at it, trying to. You'll be after the 20-inch wristband. Yeah,
well, I could go with my my iPad here, or I could go with the new device that I've got coming that should be here later this week, which is my £79 Windows tablet, which is shipped today.
Yeah. Did you see? Was it Tesco's are doing a deal with an Xbox One and a tablet?
No, I didn't see that.
I'm sure it's WP Central. I saw it on. But yeah, basically giving away a Windows tablet with an Xbox One.
Oh, that's not bad, is it?
Yeah.
I noticed the eBuyer site where the that Lynx tablet, the £79 tablet, is listed. If you trade in an existing tablet that's not broken, they'll do it for £49.
Right.
So you've got plenty of. So you're not. It's £49, and you get a year's Office 365 subscription with it.
Yeah, which of course that means you'll get the unlimited OneDrive storage.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a pretty good deal of that. So I'll be interested to see that how much performance you can get out of it. I mean, theoretically, it's possible to install anything you want on there because it's the Intel Atom processor. But I suspect that's not really what you're going to be doing. You're better to stick into Windows Store apps, and maybe Media Browser would be a great client on there. And you've got a £79 Media tablet.
Yeah, and at least you'll be able to use a VLC on there.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, you can install anything though. That's the nice thing. But yeah, I'll be interested to see how that goes. I also noticed today that the Microsoft Store in the UK is selling the HP tablet, the Stream, I think it is, for £99.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no shortage of cheap tablets out there.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely plenty to choose from, and really decent prices. It's just certainly good to have those competing with the Android devices. Just my worry is that people will get them and think it, try installing everything on it, and it's just not quite gonna take it. But I tell you what, I did pick up last weekend was I think John Lewis had got a Surface 2, a Type 2 keyboard, which had been returned, so it's been offered discounted. So I picked one up. And it's really nice. I mean, I've only ever had the touch type. Yeah, the touch cover before. To actually use the type cover, the keys, they've got a really nice feel to them. Yes,
I mean that's what I'm using right now, and done virtually every blog post for the last 2 years on a Type keyboard. Yeah, I don't particularly like the trackpad on the Type 2 compared to the Type 1, but it's a nice keyboard. And I think on the Surface Pro 3, that the new one on there is really nice as well. It's just a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I said sorry. Yeah, Dave's got a a question in the chat room about tablets that don't run Windows RT, because I think the Surface Pro 2 is getting difficult. Actually, that reminds me, sorry, slight digression, but Surface 2 is really hard to find.
Yeah.
John Lewis have stopped stocking it, and
So have PC World Curries.
and I think the only one they've got on the Windows store was the LTE version. Sorry, on the Microsoft store. I noticed Argos had still got some Windows RT devices in stock, but definitely looks like it's been wound down, I think.
Yeah. I noticed on the US Microsoft store you can still get them.
Got you.
Yeah, but not in the UK.
Yeah. So to go back to Dave's question, I guess originally the Surface Pro 2, although that's also getting harder and harder to find. But apart from that, I think you're looking at the I think the Lenovo have got quite a few, haven't they, with their new almost like a bike chain type hinge. There's certainly plenty of cheap ones around if that's what you're looking for. And I think
got Toshiba.
Ace have also got some. Yeah.
The Acer Switch, I think, is that the one that Gary was talking about?
Yes.
I think the Switch is probably the closest one to the Surface 2 form factor.
Yes, because I think they just announced the Switch 10, and I think it was.
Yeah, I think that's the Switch 10 is very much similar to the Surface. And I think you've got the Toshiba Encore, although they're an 8-inch. That's one of those I've got here, an 8-inch one, which is quite a nice device actually. It's just a little bit on the thick side, but I think the newer one is a bit thinner. But Asus have got some, and Acer, but I think Asus have got quite a few detachable ones. I think if you go onto the Windows, if you're getting it from the UK anyway, the Windows. The Microsoft Store has, I think, the $299 Asus ones on there, the Switch ones. They're quite nice devices. Then, and of course,
I think the market is growing, definitely, isn't it? Yeah,
definitely. I've got looking at the Acer. I don't know which one this is. Aspire. There's one of the Acer ones. It's a bit chunky. But it's a tablet without a keyboard or anything like that, which is quite a nice device. So there's quite a few out there, like you said.
Yeah. I think I'm still waiting to find out when, because there must be at some point announcing either a Surface 3 or maybe they'll ditch that and just have the Surface Mini. But it must be around the corner somewhere. Yeah,
definitely. There's got to be something on its way. I mean, I was having a look actually. The Surface 2 that I got last year was October, so it's just over a year since they've brought the Surface 2 out. So you would think, and normally it was a year before that, the original Surface, so it is ready for an update.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still at some point planning on getting a Surface Pro 3 as my business device, but like Dev says, my worry is, while I had a play with one, actually using a 12-inch tablet when I'm actually sitting on the sofa just does seem a bit ridiculous. It'll be interesting when I finally get one to actually give that a try. But I still imagine myself potentially maybe having a Surface Pro 3, and then if it's an RT device, maybe a Surface Mini is like a companion device. So
yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see if actually the Surface Pro 3 how it does work as a full-time tablet.
Yeah, my brief play with it in the stores is that it doesn't feel much different than the Surface 2, even though it is bigger.
Yes, yeah. I mean, certainly whenever I use my wife's Surface Pro 2, that just feels so thick and heavy, especially compared to like the Surface 2 or even the Lumia 2520.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're kind of running out of time there, but there was a few other things, but I'll include links to them in the show notes about there's the new Amazon Fire Stick, although I think we talked about that with Gary. And I'll include the media browser links in the show notes as well. So there's plenty. Oh, there's a new version of Kodi, which was XBMC. So Kodi 14 Beta 1 came out today, so you can give that a try, and another media platform to have a play with. But I think we'll be back next week. I think Gary should be back next week from his jollies. So we'll catch up with Gary and see what he can tell us.
He won't be able to say very much, though.
Yeah. And
he'll be like he's on mute.
Yeah. And you never know, I might have my Microsoft bands, so I'll be jogging on the spot next week. So see how many calories I can burn off during the show. And I might even have Well, I should have the tablet as well, so we can talk about that as well.
Yes.
So,
Excellent.
many thanks to Luke and Scott for joining us, and everybody in the chat room that's joined us this week. So we normally do this show at 8 o'clock on Tuesday evening. So any of the Media Browser guys want to be back next week to carry on chatting with us, that'll be great. So we'll see you back at 8 o'clock next Tuesday evening, or we'll be available on the podcast, YouTube, everywhere else. Just give us where we can find you, Jace.
I'm on Twitter at Database Chase.
Yeah, and Gary's Gary WMA. And Fascinating Tech is his magazine, tech magazine. So I'll include a link for that in the show notes as well. Right, so that's it for this week. Thanks for everybody to join us, and we'll see you next week.
Yep, cheers. Bye-bye.